Welcome to the SpeedStudio podcast, where art accelerates business, design drives performance, and we explore the culture of speed with athletes, business leaders, and creatives who define it. Welcome to the SpeedStudio podcast, episode 116.
Big week, Thanksgiving week.
Big Thanksgiving week. We got a lot of activities going on, but
Yeah.
To recap the past weekend, because it was a lot of fun, a little nostalgic, and we tell the people what we did.
Wondering where you're going with this.
Yeah, so over the weekend, we had some good runs, some good rides, but we went to our first my first house party in a long time.
Okay.
And it's funny because me and Madeline, one of the girls who came to run with me on Sunday, we were talking about how we hadn't been to kind of like a traditional house party in a long time. That feel not like there's obviously adult house parties where it's 10 people and everyone brings a bottle of wine and that kind of thing, and everyone knows.
So you didn't consider this an adult house party?
Well, it was more of a college house party because it was a lot of people packed into one house, and a lot of people didn't know each other, so you're meeting people. There's beer pong or water pong in this case going on.
Water pong.
It was more of a college vibe.
Yeah.
House party, so it was a little nostalgic.
Huh. I guess I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's a former guest of the pod, Johnny Person. It was his party.
He threw a party for another former guest of the pod.
Another former guest of the pod.
So Johnny threw a party
Newell.
for Sam because it was his birthday, his 37th birthday, even though he wasn't allowed to tell anyone how old he was because they were scared that the young people wouldn't show up.
Yeah. It's legitimate.
Which I think is so funny.
Yeah, it's legit.
But it was fun. Yeah. It was a really nice thing for him to throw Sam a
So
party.
it wasn't in that invitation because...
It was in the invitation at first, and then they removed it from the invitation.
Because they were afraid young people wouldn't come.
Yeah.
That's
but
funny.
as a female, that doesn't deter females. An older guy's birthday.
Yeah, I guess not.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they're oh, he's older, he's more successful, he's more established.
Yeah.
So I actually think it could be an attraction.
I'm trying. When was the last time we had a party at our house?
A long time.
Not in our studio.
A long time ago.
Probably pre-COVID.
10 years ago.
No, not. I mean, we used to have a Christmas party every year.
Well, it was just when you were at Aaron's, so that ended in 2016,
16.
so almost 10 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess I just wasn't thinking about it being a college house party, but I guess it was kind of.
It wasn't.
Similar vibe.
It was technically because it was a lot of people I went to college with.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why for me it felt like a college.
Maybe because I wasn't feeling that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't
Okay.
it wasn't out of control. So there's that aspect. People were a little more refined.
Definitely. A lot of sober people.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of sober. We're getting
a
older.
lot of healthy people.
Getting older. We're trying to focus on our health. So
Yeah.
it was a clean house party. If we say it like that.
Are you excited about Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
What are you gonna make?
Well, we're going to some friend's house for Thanksgiving, and so they're making the main dishes, which I'm not sure.
I know, but what are you gonna make? Do you know yet?
I am gonna make some sort of kale. I always make some sort of kale.
Are you gonna massage?
Salad.
Are you gonna massage the kale?
Yes, because no one likes crunchy, sharp kale. And then I'll make
It's
some
one
other.
of Nikki's pet peeves, by the way.
Yeah, some other appetizers.
Unmassaged kale.
It's pretty if you.
It's not
if
eatable.
you
It's not
say
edible.
You don't like kale. It's because you've never had properly prepared kale in a salad. Because if you just chop up not the Lusitano or whatever the Italian kale, but that curly leaf kale.
Yeah.
If you just chop that up and throw it in a bowl, it will cut your throat open.
No one eats it.
No one eats it.
Yeah.
But if you massage it with a little bit of, lemon or olive oil or dressing or whatever you want to use, you really don't have. You can even just use a little bit of water and salt. It just makes the kale really tender and nice.
For some reason, I think about Jim Carrey trying to eat
Was there a movie where he?
I don't know,
Oh.
but that's what I think about when I eat unmassaged kale.
Interesting.
You'll send it back if it's unmassaged.
It's not edible in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Are you excited about Wicked 2 coming out?
Nope.
Are we going to Wicked 2 over Thanksgiving?
Definitely not. I didn't even know there was a Wicked 2 coming out.
You haven't seen all the weirdness?
No, I didn't really understand. I was are they still on tour for the previous Wicked?
No, it's the second half of one of your favorite movies of all time.
They kind of creep me out.
Yeah,
The two,
really
they have
weird.
some weird codependency thing going on.
Weird not eating thing.
It's funny. I saw a girl that I follow on TikTok. She was talking about that this morning, and she's like, "Look, I don't want, like, they could be really stressed. She's like, I don't want to like bash them for being so skinny because, you know, they're obviously in show business. It's really stressful. You're under a lot of pressure. Like, I mean, when I get really stressed, I don't eat. So I can totally understand where if you were in that high profile in the spotlight all the time, like, I probably wouldn't eat either.
Yeah.
But she was also like, but it feels like there's like a competition between the two of them of who can be skinnier.
That's definitely what it feels like.
And I kind of agree. It doesn't feel healthy. That's for sure.
It's distracting.
Yeah, it is distracting.
Yeah, it's very distracting.
Especially because like no one even like, what's her name? Obviously we all know Ariana Grande.
I don't know.
But the other girl, like no one in the mainstream knew who she was until this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what she looked like. Maybe she's always been skinny, but Ariana was always thin, but like more of like a healthy, glowing type of thin instead of a
toothpick,
like ghostly, sick type of thin.
I am excited about the Marty Supreme movie though.
Yeah, I really haven't read that much about it. I just saw.
Well, you've seen all the PR stuff.
I have. Yeah, it's pretty brilliant.
Have you seen all the merch that they've been doing?
Yeah, I mean it's very basic, but I think that's where we're going to.
Really, they have like Tom Brady wearing the merch and.
Well, I didn't say the people wearing it are basic. I said the merch is basic. And
well, you can't even buy it though.
I know they're just sending it to celebrities.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. Yeah, I mean it's pretty genius what they've been doing with it.
I bet you'll be able to buy it once the movie's released. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's part of it. But that whole thing Timmy did with the
Zoom call.
Do you think that was set up or not?
I think it was.
You think it was fake?
I think it was fake.
You think those people are
okay,
actors?
no. I think the one guy, like the main guy, probably knew that it was a setup.
Yeah.
And then Timothy knew it was a setup, but I don't think the other people on the call knew. I think they were genuinely confused and shocked.
I was going to say, like they looked like you've been in those meetings where
100%.
It's the client or the CEO.
Yeah,
and they're just got like these unhinged ideas, and no one can say that's stupid or terrible, and you just kind of have to go along with it.
Yeah.
But you try.
I mean, we've never had a client be that unhinged. Not that I can remember. Maybe I block it. I block things out really easily.
I'm trying to think. Not that. I mean, there's rarely. I've been in meetings like that though, where there's been other executives that are that unhinged with ideas. And everyone's kind of like, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to execute on this?
I mean, I definitely think it was a setup, but I think maybe only one or two people knew about it, and the rest I think it was pre-planned.
All the ideas he came up with were pre-planned.
Yes, everything was pre-planned. He had a skit, like, because that's what he's known for, is like doing these great skits.
Yeah.
So it was like an SNL skit on a Zoom call with this creative group. Again, I think someone knew. They worked on. They set it up behind the scenes, and they're like, let's mess with our creative team and just see how they react, and we'll screen record it.
Yeah.
And it was so good. It
was genius.
It was so good.
It's long, and you still watched it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really funny.
What is going on with the nose spreaders?
I don't know.
Seeing everywhere.
I've only seen Johnny wear it.
Oh,
who else is wearing it?
Everyone. Every bro I saw.
Well, maybe
is
it like mouth
today.
Taping where it's like a new?
I don't know.
Because I feel like I need one because my left side, I can't breathe out of my left side of my nostril.
I mean, but why is this a new thing?
You definitely need it.
Because those nose strips have been around since I was a kid.
I think it's a magnetic thing.
Yeah.
I think it like lifts, like there's like magnets
instead of it being all sticky.
I think so. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, almost every guy I've seen running down the belt line has the exact same one. It's a black thing, just like Johnny wears. Like today, I saw probably 10 guys in the gym too.
Wow.
In the gym, and they're all
so
wearing.
someone's influencing very profusely.
Something, yeah, big time. We need to ask him about it.
It is so interesting how, and not that men don't get influenced by things, but I do feel like there's this kind of uptick of like male influencers that like aren't even in my, they're not on my radar because I'm not being influenced by men, but in that like to purchase things, but I have my girls that influence me. I do feel like male influencers are kind of on the rise. And I think female influencers feel like it's a little bit on the decline.
Really?
Well, I think it's
who are the male influencers?
I don't know who they are, but there's like they're out there because they're all influencing these guys to purchase the same things. Like I heard about Bro Glow, which is
what's Bro Glow?
It's spray tan for men.
Okay.
but there's no difference between,
I was going to say, how's it any different?
So they're
just marketing?
Yeah, just marketing.
Okay.
And then obviously the nose things. And then, I just feel like even Og 11, like it's a great brand. Like I think Johnny is like a big influence. I mean, I see so many guys wearing it in Atlanta now.
Yeah.
And so I think I really do think there's this interesting upswing of the male influencer.
Huh.
And it's based around fitness. It's based around wellness, health. It's, based around sobriety. It's based around religion. Like there's definitely this thing. And we've talked about this before that's happening. And I don't feel like I feel like the female influencers, they are still influencing, but there's so many of them.
Yeah.
That it's like there's not as many guys influencing, I think. So they have a little bit more power.
They're lost in the sea of invisibleness.
Yeah, the female influencers are just kind of lost in the sea of influencers. And so I think each individual influencer that I followed, it feels like they're kind of trending down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're all trying to fight to influence for the same products,
It's like I Love LA show on HBO.
Yeah,
the one
exactly.
we've been watching. It's pretty good.
It's so funny. Definitely recommend. I think it wouldn't be it's funny no matter what, but if you are in like TikTok and you kind of follow the funny influencers, they have a lot of actual like people who started out as TikTok famous in the show. Like they're not actual actors. I mean, they are actors, but they didn't start out in the traditional sense of
you can tell the ones that aren't actors versus the ones that are.
Well, they're more of like comedic relief.
Yeah.
Which is what their skits are.
They just give them like a little line here and there. Yeah. They don't have to.
Which, I think it's kind of great because it's like allowing people.
But the one guy.
He's a main character.
He's a main character. And he was started off as a influencer comedian, right?
Comedian, yeah.
Yeah.
A TikTok comedian.
He's really funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious. So anyways, it's just an interesting trend that I've noticed. Maybe it's because I've started making more guy friends in Atlanta just through like the running stuff and Michael and all, like, so maybe I'm just seeing it more.
Yeah.
But it feels like the male influencer is on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Devin Levesque.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
And then I think you got the brand guys like the George Heaton from Represent, which we talked about with Johnny. The guy from Cadence and stuff too. Yeah, but it's definitely interesting.
Well, that was a little bit of a tangent. Anything else on your list before we hop into our guest today?
I mean, we've been talking a lot about nutrition and food, and even the last few episodes we've been talking a lot about that, and I think this continues with that. It is interesting to me. I was thinking about our guest and how we're talking about the carb revolution within the endurance world, and we talk about this in detail with him, but how that is such a narrow niche in terms of what's going on in the overall macro environment of like what's popular right now from a health and wellness perspective. It's protein.
Yeah.
Like everything's protein.
Yeah.
Like you had a giant bag of protein chips.
Like, Michael ate all of them.
And Michael ate them all. And I was
he was
thinking
like, do not order any more of those.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that, like how everything is so protein.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this world of endurance sports that's on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Where, guys want to consume 100 carbs an hour.
Yeah.
Like think about that, how like that, if the normal person knew that's what's going on, it's like
it's insane.
It's just such a dichotomy of what is popular right now.
Yeah. Well, because that's not mainstream. So mainstream has always been protein, creatine, all of that. Yeah. Did you see, was it Chipotle? I think GQ did Sweet Green, the protein bowl.
The 100-gram protein bowl.
And the guy who did, I think it was the GQ editor?
It was a GQ article,
and he went and
that's
ate
what I'm
all
talking
of it,
about, yeah.
And he literally was like, I was physically ill afterwards.
Yeah, because it's like 2 whole chickens.
It's too much protein at once, I think. I can't imagine your body can really process that much protein.
But think about that, like on the other end of the spectrum, no one ever complains about having too many carbs.
That's true, but you would get really ill feeling if you ate. I mean, at least I would get, if there was... giant bowl of pasta, I usually feel pretty sick after.
Oh, I don't. Not if it's cacio e pepe from Pendolino. I've definitely, and we talk about this with our guests. I've definitely been upping my carb intake on intense rides, and
you feel like it's helping.
Something.
It's something, Jerry.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. Yeah, I don't feel as bonked.
Yeah,
like the end of the airport ride, 3-hour ride. I'm not on fumes.
Yeah. I don't know if I can tell as big of a difference with running as like riding. I can definitely tell, like, when I eat more, I perform better. Maybe I'm just not running at like that level that I'm riding at, but it's also just harder to eat that much while you're running. I mean, I know the science is there, but
yeah, it is. I mean, it's got to be gels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people eat all kinds of stuff, but yeah.
You've got, before we get into the guests, you've got half marathon this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wait, no. 2 days from now. Yeah,
the the Thanksgiving, Invesco Thanksgiving half marathon in Atlanta. 3rd year. Although last year I didn't finish it. I bailed at mile 9 because I had done the ultra the weekend before.
Yeah.
And so I had like 3 days after, and I was just too
I don't
wrecked.
even remember you doing it last year.
Yeah, I did it. I got to mile 9 and I was just like, my hips and knees were just destroyed from the ultra marathon still.
Yeah.
I just went down there by myself. You weren't with me.
Oh.
Yes, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm pacing a friend this year, so it's her first half marathon, and I offered to pace her because my first half marathon, a good friend, Cara Toronto, she didn't know she was going to pace me, but then when she saw how bad I was struggling with my first half marathon, she stuck with me for the majority of it, and I will never forget that, and it had a huge impact on me. So I'm hoping, if I can help someone get through their first half marathon, can be pretty
Yeah, you went through a lot that day. I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, like races are really, like, they can be a team sport, and so I think even if it's a race that's just for fun, or if it's turkey trot or whatever, like, just like racing with someone or running with someone to try and help them meet a goal, I just think is way more fun than me trying to meet some goal. Like, I just kind of how my brain.
Yeah, I'm at the same point.
Yeah.
I think it's always fun to do those events, trying to stay together, the
Yeah.
camaraderie of it, and especially for someone that hasn't done thousands of races. It's much cooler to try and help them get through it.
Exactly.
So, well, cool. Thanks for all the great feedback from our episode last week with Cole Davis and the big announcement. Everyone's very excited. We've got some new sponsors now that have also come on as a result of the announcement, and we're really excited about what this is going to turn into, and we're working on some really interesting plans around content and some things you'll be seeing soon. So stay tuned.
It's going to be good. So our guest today is Aaron Gouw. He is the co-founder and chief product officer of Carbs.
Fuel.
I just say Carbs, but I know it's Carbs Fuel. It's funny because I was telling a couple people, like, oh, we have the co-founder of Carbs on, and they were like, wait, how does someone found a carb? And I was like, oh, no, it's a brand.
But we talk about that with them, about how genius
great.
Is the name the company that, because people are just saying carbs now.
Exactly. Yeah. So he is a PhD, extremely smart. He'll go into all of the sciencey stuff. So I don't even want to try to explain what he got his degrees in, because a lot of what he was saying, I was like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, but big words.
But you make really, really good product, and there's a lot of science behind it. So we'll speak with him today and learn more about the brand and what it takes to make a good fuel.
And this is we talk a lot about entrepreneurship with Aaron as well. This episode and this conversation is really a result of me and him bumping into each other at Big Sugar at a house party.
Yeah.
And now, he's not only been a guest on the pod, but now Carbs Fuel is also going to be a partner and sponsor for SpeedStudio presented by Basso. So you're going to see Michael Garrison and Cole Davis at every race being fueled up by Carbs.
So when they stand on all the podiums, you better go out and get your Carbs Fuel so you can also get on some podiums.
There you go.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hey, Chad. Hey, Nikki. How's it going?
Good.
Great. How are you?
Good.
Where are you coming from? Boulder?
No. So I'm in Golden, Colorado. So just a bit south of Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we've been there.
No.
To Golden. Yeah.
We haven't been that. I mean, we've been to Boulder. We've been to Denver and Steamboat.
Yeah. So I assume it's cold now?
Believe it or not, it's, I think, 70 today.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Whereas the weekend it was, I think it was like 40. So you get a lot of weather whiplash. So
it
that's
was
something I'm getting used to again.
It was 28 degrees here this morning in Atlanta. Yeah. It was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I just rode my bike home to grab headphones, and I think it was. Let's see what it is. It feels like 30. So it's 34 right now with a real feel of 22. I'm like,
Oh my
this
gosh.
is terrible.
So,
Like,
yeah, November in Atlanta, this is not normal.
No.
This is like, this is a major problem for us.
it kind of makes me nervous though, because every year we get more snow. Like last year we got 6 inches of snow, which in a city like Atlanta is a really big deal because we have like 4 snow plows for, 10 million people.
city.
Yeah. And so, but then I feel like this year we're going to get like 3 snows or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but it's the weather.
Crazy. So you're just riding, like you're 70 degrees, you can just ride like normal in Colorado on a November day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can be shorts and a jersey, no base layer needed.
Yeah.
You can just get out and ride. It's kind of crazy. But then it can flip, and then like I said, this past weekend it was like 40, so you definitely had to bundle up because the descents are long here, so you can definitely get really chilly. So.
Yeah. Do you have group rides there?
In Golden, they're not as well developed, say, as compared to Boulder or
Yeah.
like the Denver area. So I noticed there's a lot of people that do ride in the area, but there's no really consistent group ride.
So what do you do then? Are you just riding alone? Do you ride with other people?
Yeah, I ride alone, ride with friends.
Yeah.
You end up forming your own small tight pods that you ride with. So it ends up working well. And if you want to do big group rides, there are. You just got to ride outside of Golden a little bit. It is quite hilly in Golden. So I just moved here in August, so I'm still learning the landscape a bit, but it is very, very hilly. I did a ride yesterday. It was like 25 miles, and you can easily surpass the 100-foot per mile ratio easily.
So is it big climbs or is it just up and down the whole time?
Sustained climbs. You get a lot of 10. You can easily get over 20-minute climbs, 30-minute climbs. So the most common one out here is going to be Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that one. So that's a really popular one. I probably go up that one 4 or 5 times a week easily. Just because you get over that and then it just opens up so many opportunities to go other roads and ride different terrain. So, but a lot of it is a lot up and then a lot of descents, but no really true sustained flat terrain. So you got to work.
Yeah.
That's the hard part I've found about riding in Colorado. Like I always think of it if I'd lived there, like every ride's an epic ride. Like you've got to do like a big ass climb every time you ride, which you could lose motivation for that real quick.
Yeah, especially when it gets cold and you're fine, you're sweating coming up, and then you're thinking on the other side, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be cold because I'm gonna be all sweaty, and then you chill off real quick. And but it is like during the summers, it's beautiful riding during the spring and fall too. So yeah, I just moved here from Indiana where it was very flat riding. So it was the exact opposite. So it was a little bit of a shock just getting the system used to that again. All the climbing.
In the Indiana, that's because you were finishing your PhD there?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Were you able to do much riding in Indiana?
I was.
Yeah.
So I was in Muncie, which is about 40 minutes northeast of Indianapolis.
Okay.
It's the university out there is called Ball State University. And it's really, once you get outside of the city itself, it's just a lot of farm roads. It's not completely flat. It still rolls a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the relative amount of climbing is quite small. So.
Yeah. So going to Golden was because for carbs, I guess that's where you're based. You're like, I got to be at
Gotta be where everyone else is.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. So it just makes for just bouncing ideas off between the team much easier as opposed to needing to set up a time to call and all that. And when I was in grad school, the primary focus was that aspect. So getting the education and finishing the dissertation and doing the research. So, but yeah, now everyone's here and you can do, much more efficient business work.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to you guys for even just being able to launch. I mean, I guess your 2-year anniversary just went by, right?
So officially the business was conceived. Well, the idea was in late summer of 2022.
Okay.
And then official formation was October, November 2022. And then product was launched beginning of 2024. So yeah, it hasn't really been that long even.
But to do that all remote, is pretty impressive.
And already have big expos at Chicago Marathon, and I mean, because that's how we even like ran into your co-founder, founder, and how we started talking to him, and then Joe about. I think it was Joe. Was it Joe who connected us? Yeah. Connect us with Carbs, and now we have Carbs in our studio. That I know. I was gonna take it on like a big run the other day, but then I was like, I should probably do it on a ride first and see how I do, and then go on the run, because running is like much harder on your stomach. But good product.
Which ones do you guys have in the studio?
We have like the giant. Like what's the?
We've got all of them.
Yeah, we bought all of them at the expo so we could try them.
Perfect.
But what are the big ones? Those are like 300.
The 50.
Oh, is it the 50?
Yeah.
These ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm a convert. I've been hitting those. We've got a big epic ride on Sundays in Atlanta called the Airport Ride. It's a 3-hour ride, pretty hard. I am a chronic undereater, which we'll get into, I'm sure. We got into it with our last PhD also, but I've been hitting the carbs, and I told you I'm a convert now. Like it definitely it feels a lot better not to be bonking while you're also suffering.
It's a huge part, and that was really one of the key parts of why Carbs was created, to really help with that and not feeling bad and actually feeling good and just enjoying the whole ride experience more, because we suffer a lot on the bike, and if this is one way to make it easier, in that you can feel better and feel better.
Exactly.
And it really came from, and I guess let's just get into carbs, because the idea, when you and I talked when we met at Big Sugar, the idea, it sounded like, came from this kind of science revolution of rethinking how endurance athletes should fuel. Because again, I've been riding my whole life. I just turned 50, and there were more years in my life of riding, we starved ourselves than we ate that much, right? And even the winter training we used to do, which we were talking about. Now everyone calls it zone 2, but we did that all summer. All winter, small chain ring, and we literally would not have anything, like just water, like for 4 to 5 hours. Was kind of our science.
Your glucose levels were like plummeting.
We would just be destroyed on those rides. But that change in idea and the science around it, I guess that's the kind of the genesis for why you guys said we need to find a better solution for how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually interesting because the science actually around this fueling and fueling more than what people traditionally had been fueling with in the last 5 to 10 years, it actually, if you get into like the research, you'll see that a lot of it began in the 2000s, so pre-2010s even. And the whole idea of fueling with 60 grams of carbs an hour and then going up from there, a lot of that started in the mid 2000s, so 2005, 2006, and even some early research way before then, just showing that if you actually fuel, you can go further, go faster, produce more power, even into like the 80s. So at Ball State, some of the early, where I got my PhD, some of the early fueling, just adding dextrose or glucose to your drink and drinking that, they saw a difference. And this was even before the 2000s. So it always takes a while for the science to make its way into the mainstream and the general public. And a lot of it is because we follow what the pros do. You always look up to, okay, what's Tade doing? So let's do that. So the whole short crank arm thing, that's been kind of interesting to me. Seeing that kind of evolve, but it's always we look to see what the pros are doing, and I think that's natural, because that's they're faster. Okay, what are they doing to be faster? Oh, we should do that too. So in the last 5 years, it's been nice to see that the science has been really taken on, and led to this fueling revolution. So really out of that, and us seeing what kind of options there were to allow people to achieve this really high carb intake, we were just frustrated with those options. And it was really Gabe. It was during, I think, the summer of 2022 when he originally conceived the idea and then came to me, and we created this whole entire, sports nutrition company to help people achieve this high carb fueling in a very simple and affordable way. Because I think there are a lot of good options out there. There's tons of sports nutrition products, I think, that are really well made. But sometimes I think the science gets lost, or the simplicity of the product can be lost in the science. And then people end up not knowing, like, how much do I actually need to fuel? How many of these do I need to take an hour? And it just overcomplicates it. So for us, we saw an opportunity just to simplify that while still not losing that messaging.
Yeah. And also the affordability of it too, because as the products are out there, you've got a pretty saturated market, but to get to where you needed to be, where science was saying you needed to be, you're going to have to buy a lot more stuff, right? And
absolutely.
That it gets really expensive really fast. So I think that was a big part of what you guys were thinking too, right? Because you measure, is it per carb per dollar? Is that what your main?
Yeah, the amount of grams of carbs per dollar. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with my clothes. I'm like, oh, I can buy that really expensive sweater. It's, dollar per wear.
Right.
That's, girl math. So this is athlete math as well.
Yeah.
Carb math.
Girl math.
And I think it was funny. I forgot, it was on another podcast Gabe and I were on, and the topic came up. I think it was more expensive to fuel yourself than it was to like drive your car, like certain miles, like the miles per gallon versus carbs per mile, or whatever we were doing the calculation for. It was funny. Yeah.
I believe it. And it's like when I started riding almost 10 years ago, like I would show up to the group rides and guys would have, like, I have this vivid memory of guys having, like, younger guys that couldn't necessarily afford like all the gels and the goos and all the things at that time would have like pizza and donuts and bagels stuffed in their pocket. And I was like, wait, is this what we're supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to bring pizza in my pocket to ride my bike for 3 hours?
Yeah.
No.
But I think a lot of that is like, you get into it as a college kid and it is really expensive, or you get into it like as, right out of college. And so I think it's interesting how, you have been able to make a really good product at a more affordable price point, which I think especially, cyclists, there's already a high barrier to entry, but runners, there is an incredibly high barrier to entry, especially because you don't have to have the most expensive shoes to run your race. But I will say people are shocked. Runners are shocked when they get into it and they're like, wait, I have to, like, not to hate on Morton, but like it's a great product, but it is very expensive. They're like, wait, so I need to spend like $500 just to get enough fuel to do like a marathon or something like that. You know what I mean? And so it kind of blows people's minds. Yeah. And then I think they start getting scared that they can't do it because they can't afford the fuel. So something like your product, I think, is great, especially with, again, running, cycling, barrier to entry.
Yeah. And another aspect of it too, I don't know if this ever happens to you guys. At least before carbs happened, I would buy the occasional gel. I would make a lot of my own nutrition, but I would always keep that gel in my pocket, and it would just sit there, and it would only be used for extreme emergencies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, because I knew it was like $3 or $4, and I'm like, oh, do I really need this? I only have half an hour left in my ride, or I'm feeling okay. I don't think I need it, but I probably should. And then, so it ends up being a lot of that happening, and then inevitably you'd underfuel and feel bad, and you're like, I should have just taken it, but now it's too late because I'm almost close to home. So you just end up not fueling. So by creating the product that we did at the price point and the amount of carbs that you had, it kind of takes that extra load off the mind, and again, simplifies it.
That gel you're talking about, in Nikki's world, that gel stays in the pocket, then goes in the wash. And it gets beat up in the wash, then it comes out, and then goes back downstairs, and then it goes back in her pocket again. So that gel's like beat to hell.
I always wonder, I'm like, how much detergent has gotten through this gel wrapper and into my actual gel before I eat it? Because it is a really bad habit that I forget to eat the gel and then wash it.
Yeah.
A question. Well, do you have any others?
Do you ever wash your gels?
I've never personally washed my gels. Usually my pockets are empty because I take my gels. So, but empty gel wrappers, absolutely. Those are frequent, or the tabs that you have off of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From a branding perspective, because I really like the branding. I like that it's just carbs straight, like it's not complicated, and the branding is very clean. The packaging is very clean. Is that because you want to send a message like this is a not as, I don't want to call it a simple product because the science is obviously behind it, but you want it to feel like it's an accessible product with a lot of good science behind it. Is that the thinking?
Precisely. Yeah. Just keeping it simple. Again, the three major things, or the three main pillars in Carbs when we're creating any product, and when we just create the company, we want things to be simple, highly effective, but then also affordable. So anything that we do in terms of the formulation, the product, how the product is delivered, anything related to that, it has to hit all of those. And yeah, when we were thinking about the branding, we felt that keeping it simple, telling people what it was, it's carbs and it's fuel. That tells people instantly what it is. We have the amount of carbs on the tabs right at the top, so people know instantly it's 50, and then the flavor on the bottom of what it is. So yeah, again, it's just, instead of you're staring at this package forever, you're trying to figure out what exactly it is, you're flipping it over. For us, we just wanted it bold, simple, to the point. Because again, there's a lot of, again, good products out there, but sometimes they're just too complicated. You're trying to figure out what it is and whatnot. So just removing that element, I think, really helps.
How much stress was involved in naming the company that? Because that's a very unusual take, you know?
Yeah. Oh, man, I have to think back to when we were thinking of the name. So Gabe is definitely the more creative of the two of us. So it's always me that ends up shooting down a lot of his ideas. So I think he came out with the idea. He was just like, let's just keep it simple. What people will just like, they'll look at it, they'll know what it is. So I think we probably discussed it for a couple weeks and then eventually just realized, yeah, simple is the way to go. And yeah, I think that it was just basically born through that. But yeah, it's at the time when you're creating a company or a business, you're not thinking about how big it's going to be and all the downstream effects of how, if you name certain things, how that affects everything. So I don't know, maybe we just didn't realize, just because for me it was like, this is like something completely new to me, especially coming from a science background. Business is you don't realize the ramifications if you name things certain ways. But yeah, maybe it was less stressful, but I can imagine it might have been more stressful for people who are like experienced and that's what they do. So
no, I love it because
we're very familiar with it.
Yeah, I love it because I just like a simple slogan. I like something that's just straightforward, because like when you think of a lot of brands, sometimes you can't even pronounce them. And then you have people in different countries pronouncing things differently. And I think Carbs, it's like, it's pretty easy. It's just carbs, and everyone knows what that is, and everyone knows how to say it, and very easy to remember as well. So I think it's brilliant. I love it.
And she's speaking from direct experience.
Yeah, and when we were also, now you guys are kind of reminding me, when we did decide on Carbs fuel, we were hoping that eventually people would just call it Carbs, and then it's like anytime you'd say carbs, eventually it would lead back to us. So I think that was also part of the calculus. It wasn't a huge part, but I think that was something we were hoping, which it seems to be slowly. So people will just be like, oh, I love carbs. They won't even say the fuel. So it's kind of cool to see that happening.
That's my take on it. I don't hear anyone saying carbs fuel. It's definitely just carbs. I mean, I remember the first time I saw it, Michael Garrison had come back from a race. Maybe you guys had an expo or something, and he had it. And he like showed it to me. I was like, carbs. And he's like, yep. Just carbs, like straight to the point. And I was like, oh, it's kind of genius.
Well, it's funny because when I was in college, I just remember like this one marketing professor, he said, if you ever come up with a slogan or a tagline or a brand name, just remember that people will always simplify it. And so if it doesn't make sense, if in its most simple form, then you probably shouldn't do it. And that kind of stuck with me. So I like it. It's good.
Yeah. So you guys, he throws this idea at you. You're getting your PhD. You start working on the formulas, like literally in your kitchen.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm bringing listeners and Nikki up to the speed of a conversation we had for a long time in Big Sugar. How does that then turn into, basically you guys worked on it behind the scenes for a year? Is that about right, the timeline? Like, how do you like walk us through, like you're getting the formulas right, then you got to find manufacturers. You manufacture everything in the United States, which I guess that does make things a little bit easier. That probably definitely like from communication perspective and logistic perspective. But so how does all those things happen? behind the scenes for a year? Like, is it just the two of you doing it, or did you start bringing other people on?
Yeah, so early on, it was just the two of us. And in terms of like the formulation, so when we were formulating the product, a lot of this would happen on my like free time once I was like, left the lab, back at home. This would be something I'd like think about. And literally it was order ingredients from Amazon and bulk supplements.
Yeah.
And I have water. I'll just buy I usually at least I thought to like think about buying distilled water, so I didn't just use straight tap water.
Yeah.
Which will actually later on become important. But yeah, it was literally just buy distilled water, boil up water, mix powders together. It was very much like Walter White style. Maybe not as crazy of a setup as he had, but
Yeah.
it was very much just trying out different ratios, different ingredients, different proportions of certain ingredients, and seeing which tasted good. And going back to the whole idea of like being in terms of proximity. So Gabe was living in Colorado. I was in Indiana. So anytime I would finish like a batch of samples, I would have to ship them to him. So he would have to wait like a week before he could get something, and then
Yeah.
get feedback, and then I'll make changes. So that would happen for a while. And some of the funny aspects, or one funny story is, I think I'm not sure if I told you this one, but one of the early batches we made. So I usually would make them, and especially if it's at night, I'd put it in the fridge so that it would stay good before I would ship it out to him. I remember I had one batch, I put it in the fridge, I packed it up, sent it off, and then he got it about 4 or 5 days later, and he calls me up. And he's like, Aaron, is this a joke? I was like, what? It's just it's a sample. And he's like, this thing is like a rock. It's it's like I literally cannot like squeeze it. It's a solid. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, are you joking? Like, are we just messing around? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. So I had to go back, figure out what was going on. And what I later found out was that depending on the type of maltodextrin you used, it could, what they call it, reconstitute, essentially just turn hard again. So that was part of like the early learnings of, oh, there's different impacts on the different types of ingredients, specifically the types of maltodextrin you use. And that led on to this whole journey of why it took so much time of, trying out different maltodextrins, and they all have different properties, and trying to figure out the one that gave us what we were looking for.
Right.
So, and even before that, we had set out really key pillars in the product that we wanted with the original gel. We wanted it to be thin. We wanted it to be clear. So so the appearance was, again, appealing. It wasn't just like this cloudy mix. So really carefully selecting the ingredients took time, and then mixing them up properly took time, and getting the sample right took time. So yeah, all of that leads into one aspect of why it took so much time.
Yeah.
And then eventually we had to figure out finding the manufacturers who would actually want to work with us, a relatively unknown brand, or just absolutely unknown brand, just two guys, young guys trying to break it into a very saturated market. So we eventually found one, which we are still working with today, that took a chance on us, allowed us to do a smaller batch run, and from there it was pretty much history. So yeah, but during that time we also pulled in a marketing person as well, and then some social media people with a little bit more experience with social media. But yeah, to date we're still a relatively small team altogether.
I am
But,
curious,
yeah.
like when you're pitching to, because I'm assuming you kind of have to pitch essentially to these manufacturers. Are you sitting down and doing a formal pitch with them? Like, how are you presenting your ideas and convincing them to say, like, allow you to do a small batch run?
Yeah, so it's really talking to them about this idea. So again, us trying to break into this really saturated market. There's a lot of good brands, but this is what they're missing the mark on. And then also telling them that, if this actually works out, it could be quite significant. So in terms of for them, because, we're going to be ordering lots and lots of products. So for them, it's just more business. So it's really selling them the dream.
Yeah.
Just as much as any other business it is. It's always convincing them to say, hey, we're good for it. This is our plan. This is what we have in mind. Will you take a chance on us? So some will be receptive and some won't be. And yeah, it's finding the ones that will be willing to take a chance. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think they've been quite happy. So
and this might be well known. I don't know. This could be a dumb question, but when you're pitching to a manufacturer like that to essentially like, okay, please make my product, give us a chance, so that we then turn around and continue to use you and make money for obviously the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. Are they ever investing money into the original product or taking some sort of stake in the company in order to get it done quicker, or helping you get it done quicker?
Not necessarily. Mm-hmm. So these contract manufacturers, if you do want to do anything outside of their capacity, like for example, if you want to buy a different tooling or experiment with different tooling, then it's up to us, the company that's approaching them, to put in that initial investment.
Okay.
Especially if we're new, if you don't have an established relationship. Now, if you have an established relationship, then things are a little bit easier. There's less friction. So you can definitely propose ideas and they'll be willing to take on a little bit more of that risk given prior work history together. So yeah, so for us, if we're evaluating a new manufacturer for a new product, a lot of that, if they don't have an established relationship, when we want to do R&D for something very specific, or if we want to see if it'll work on their machines, we have to go through a lot of this discussion.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I assume the manufacturer of the product isn't then manufacturing the containers, right? Like, so you've got to find that, and then how do you get the product into the gel wrappers, et cetera? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, so depending on the need of the business itself, so sometimes certain manufacturers, they'll have what's called just like a full turnkey process where they get from the film itself to the raw ingredients. They'll basically take care of all of that from beginning to end, from you giving the idea and then you telling them what film you want, what design, all of that. They'll take care of that to the point of delivery to you. So that's one way that you can do it. Another way is you can bring in your own film. Like, let's just say you have very specific film or container or packaging that you want. As long as it works with their machines that they have, then anything is fair game.
Did you guys take on investors?
Yeah, so all of our early investment was just from friends and family.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
We had really generous friends and family, and they, again, it's same thing. It's and Gabe did a lot of this, and he had to pitch the idea, sell people on this idea, and essentially take a chance. So yeah, it's always scary when you go out and do those things.
Definitely.
How people respond. So.
Did you have any, early on advisors? Because I'm thinking like you all got this product up and running really quickly compared to a lot of companies that try to get anything up and running. It takes a long time. Did you have advisors that already knew this space and said, you know what, let me usher you through how this process typically works? Or was it just
no one in the space? So a lot of it's just learning and stumbling along the way and making mistakes. And a big part that I think we've learned is using the right lingo. Because if you go into a conversation with a manufacturer, the things that I always get asked, especially if we're looking to do something new with a manufacturer, they'll be like, how big is your team? How long have you been around? And then, do you have a website? So once they usually see all those things, they're like, okay, these guys are probably, legit. But yeah, it's always, we didn't have any advisors. It was,
that's
a lot
amazing.
Of it was just learning. And I mean, we were cyclists, so it's like we understood the consumer end of things, but learning the other end, like the business end, and that was and we're still learning too, an interesting aspect as well.
That's so impressive.
Do you have a website? It's so crazy. I've heard that too. It's like, do people not know about Squarespace?
But it's like, if you don't have a website, then that's like the lowest barrier to, like if you're like, no, sorry, I don't have a website. They're like, okay, then we shouldn't even be like, once you get that basic thing down, then come talk to us. I feel like it's just kind of
I guess so.
Yeah,
it's like if you're an influencer without like an Instagram or a TikTok and they're like, what?
That's true.
Yeah. And a big one is also that we get is how many retailers are you in? Because they want to know actually how big the actual scale is of the business. And then what's the MOQ that you're looking for? So we've come to learn is you don't immediately ask what their MOQ is or their minimum order quantity, because right away they'll know like, oh, they're not big players, because usually big players, they don't ask that. They don't ask MOQ. So it's like knowing what to ask, when to ask. It's all these little nuanced things that again, it's I would have never thought.
That's funny.
would be
Yeah.
important, but it really is.
MOQ isn't even on our mind, man. We're going to be ordering so much stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking about it.
Exactly.
Why did it need to be clear? Because it's not a clear package.
Yeah, because we knew that people would
Dump it
use
out.
them into their, exactly. Some people put that into their bottles or into their flasks. And also I think just an appearance I think it's important too to some people, because then inevitably someone's going to squeeze it out and be like, what does this look like actually? What am I actually eating? So that was an aspect of what we realized would be important to convey that idea of simplicity as well.
Yeah, I guess
I was gonna say,
I've never looked at what anything looks
well,
like.
no, what I was going to say is I feel like when I started cycling, or my entire time as a cyclist, I never looked at what a gel looked like. But I will say now that in the past few years, since I started running a lot more, runners look at what the gel looks like. It's so strange.
Really?
And or at least the people that I run with, they'll be like, oh, I can't eat that gel because it's like milky color.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they refuse to eat certain things if it's like a pink color, whatever, And I just never thought about that, because I think on the bike you're like so desperate in a group ride to just eat whatever you can get so you don't get dropped, or at least that's how I feel. I just don't care. But yeah, it is definitely like the runners have opened my eyes that there is like a standard of the look.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, and the consistency has been also really key for us, keeping it thin. So when we were thinking about the type of ingredients we're going to use, that also had to be taken into consideration. So different ingredients that you use will thicken the gel itself more than others. So my favorite thing to do is when I go to expos or when I meet someone who hasn't used the gel before, I'll give it to them, actually have them hold it. And usually their standard, if they haven't heard of our gel before, is a goo. Even though they have like really delicious flavors, their texture is a little bit thicker. And I think a lot of people naturally just think, oh, if it's a goo, it's going to be thick. So when I give it to them and they actually shake it, they're like, wow, it's really quite liquidy.
Yeah.
And then they also kind of connect that for themselves that, oh, this won't give me as much gut distress, for example. So it doesn't make them feel like icky.
Is that science-based decision? Because that's a new thing. Like I'd say new. Like SIS is the first one I remember that had it was liquid.
Super, the viscosity.
Because everything before then has always been like thicky, like gel.
Yeah,
it's sticky and
like Hammer Nutrition, like hammer your gut.
Yeah.
That's how they
Well, they won't be sponsoring the podcast.
We don't want them to sponsor the podcast.
What was the thought? Is there science behind that? I guess that's my question.
So that's actually a good question.
My first one.
Yeah. So, well, you've asked quite a few good questions.
I'm joking.
We're just continuing the train here. It's good. So So nutrition is a really interesting thing because some people are very particular. Some people don't really mind at all and they can take whatever and be fine. So there's an aspect of, okay, what does the science say? But then there's also like the psychology aspect, which yes, it is a science, but sometimes it's a little bit more subjective.
Yep.
So, and as we know, the brain is a very, very powerful thing and it can make us feel certain things even though there's really no effect. So again, I think there's an aspect if someone thinks that it's going to make them have GI distress, they're more likely to have it.
Yep.
Because there's that psychological variable. There's tons of placebo studies that you guys have probably seen that even though you're taking a placebo, you'll still see a benefit. So it's kind of like one of those things where there's that. So if it's thinner, then people might be saying, oh, it's not going to cause as much GI issues, so I'll take it. And then they just believe it, and then it just might happen that way. Whereas if they take something thick, they might, oh, this is going to cause issues. And then they're starting to like pay attention to their stomach more. And if they're running, they might associate that with whatever. Or if they're cycling, they're also going to associate it with causing GI distress, even though it might be due to something else.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. But then there is actual science that will say that certain, I guess, constitutions of a gel or a liquid are more likely to cause GI distress. And even before getting into that, I think it's also important to understand why you get GI distress. So there's a couple elements that lead to this. So the first one being if you're unable to absorb all the carbs once it passes through your stomach and it gets into your small intestine, which is where the actual GI distress will typically happen. for these gels. It's going to be due to you have just too much carbs just sitting there. So you're going to get some bloating because the water will move from essentially inside your body into the intestine, and that'll cause you to bloat and then feel kind of heavy and lead to all those distress issues. It can also sit in there for a little bit longer, and then the bacteria in your small intestine will essentially feed on that and then lead you to have gas. So that's the other issue.
Yeah.
So depending on, and this is where it's important on the formulation of the product, how much water you take with the product, that can all feed into causing actual GI distress. There's been a lot of talk on like osmolarity as well. So the osmolarity of the solution or the gel. So the SIS, like Go isotonic, that was their whole idea of it's isotonically balanced with your body so that when you take it, you don't need any water, and then you won't have any bloating issues, or you'll be less chance for GI issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, products like that. But yeah, so that's really a lot of it, where it comes from. And then the whole gut training idea. So if you can train your gut, this one there's less scientific evidence right now, but I think we can postulate. A lot of people have thought about this, written this in their discussions of why you can train your gut and then essentially have less GI issues. Part of it can be as you ingest more and more carbohydrates, your body will know how to more efficiently transport those in. And by efficiently, I mean either it knows how to translocate those little transporters to inside your intestine to move those carbs in, or it'll actually it'll produce more of these transporters so that you can move more of these carbs in as well. So a couple different things there. And nowadays, too, you're seeing a lot less people, I think, report GI issues with just a lot of products in general. I don't know if you guys observe that at all, but at least from what I'm seeing, a lot of people, you just don't hear it as much. And part of me thinks that a lot of these products now, even though they're quite carbohydrate dense, I think just the population people are fueling are more or less gut training themselves with previous products.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting. Now, this is not scientifically, proven or anything. So I'm just kind of thinking right now, I'm just postulating that when someone takes a higher density product, now that they're 2 or 3, 4 seasons into training, and they're like, oh, I love this product because I don't get GI distress from it, even though in the past I took this and it gave me all sorts of issues. My guess is there's an element of they have gut trained themselves, and that point where they did experience GI distress with a certain product, that was just due to their gut not being trained. But now 2 or 3 years later, they just so happen to try a new product and it works. They essentially train themselves. So there's an element of is it actually the product, or is it themselves?
Yeah.
So
I think that's 100% it. I also think that just overall products have just gotten better. Like I think that's a big part of it too, because like I think in the early 2000s, what we were taking, I don't think there was any science involved. I think they were just giving us whatever, And you didn't have any options, right? Like you had to eat a power bar.
Yeah.
I
also think it's like sometimes, again, I don't hear people complaining as much on the bike as I do runners complaining about GI issues. And I think that's just the nature of like actually like running, you're like bouncing up and down. So you're shaking your body more vigorously.
Absolutely.
But I do think there's an element of a lot of people blaming their nutrition for just the amount I had this huge race, this ultra marathon or this marathon, and I got really I think my nutrition threw me off, and that's why I got stomach issues and I had to like DNF. And I'm like, was it the nutrition, or was it the fact that you just have a lot of anxiety around the fact that you're doing this big race? And I think anxiety can cause more GI issues than nutrition. Yeah. And then but the easiest thing to blame is the nutrition. Just because it's like, what else would it be? Well, it's probably your anxiety. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, it's like I think sometimes people aren't desperate enough to eat. Like I say, and let me explain this. So a lot of times I see runners and they're just kind of like eating gel. Like they're going on, let's say, an easy run, and they're like eating a gel every 30 minutes because they think that's what they're supposed to do, because that's what they've read, that's what they've heard. But they probably don't really need to eat that gel every 30 minutes if you're going on an easy run. And so then it's like they're associating this upset stomach because they're not actually burning through the fuel. So then they're just like massive amounts of sugar that they're not burning through, massive amounts of carbs they're not burning through.
Like you said, like it was sitting in their intestines, right?
Yeah, so it's just sitting there. And so I don't know, I think there's a lot of, like, where cycling, if you're in a group ride, a lot of times, like, when was the last time you were on a hard group ride or a really hard race and you're like desperate for a gel and some random person's just like, here, eat this, and you're like, okay, awesome. Like, you would never be like, oh no, let me check and see what that is to make sure it doesn't hurt my GI. And miraculously, you take the gel, you take the whatever, and you don't have any issues for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think that's the like desperation factor of people. I don't know how to, like, you need to be more desperate for the fuel, and then it won't hurt your stomach as bad. I don't know. That's just like my theory.
Your body will absorb and process it.
Because it's mental, you know? So like when you're desperate for it, your body will be like, you know what? I'm not even going to think about how this might make me feel. I just need the sugar. I know that. These are not scientific thoughts.
Well, I think it also goes to what you and I talk about too, is that bike racers, all three of us have raced bikes, you race a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And like, and runners maybe have one or two events for the year. So that's where that stress you're talking about comes from. Like, if you only did like one bike race a year, you'd be
really stressed about it, but you do it like every weekend. So you're not as stressed about it. But anyways, just my non-scientific thoughts on why people feel like nauseous.
Are you guys thinking about runners? Like, is that a market for you guys that are starting to explore?
I mean, they're at Chicago.
Oh yeah, I guess so. You're at Chicago Marathon, so that was answer my own question.
Yeah, no, 100%. So objectively speaking, there's more runners than there are cyclists. I think just the nature of the sport, running is just very approachable. It's very easy to get into. So that has been the next focus for us, I think. And not just running, just really just thinking beyond running as well. But yeah, really running. We're going to be, we were also at Iowa. So Gabe was at the Iowa Marathon. And then we will be at Phoenix. So that's the next one. So we'll be actually the on-course nutrition for Phoenix Marathon.
Oh, well. Nice.
So that's huge.
So we're really making our way there. And for us, it's been a huge learning as well, working with runners as opposed to cyclists. Personalities are different just as a whole.
Yeah.
When you look at cyclists versus runners, we're learning that runners maybe approach fueling a little bit more casually than cyclists do. When we talk to pretty much any cyclist, they really like to get into the details really quickly, whereas the runners, the focus of the product is a little bit different. So they'll really think about, okay, what is the consistency? Which when they feel it, they're like, okay, this is all right. But what's really common, it's really funny, they'll look at our 50, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so big. Because I think in their minds, they're so used to seeing the goos, and those goos are roughly, half, 3/4 the size of ours. So that's always a big shock to them. And then not realizing they actually need to fuel more than they currently do. So there's a larger education piece that is also needing to be had from our end to these runners as well. But that's why we do have the 25 gram as well. We have the 25 gram gels to kind of help with that as well, to help make the product line a little bit more approachable, because we are known for our 50, and there are plenty of runners who use our 50 as well. But having that 25, I think, makes the products even more accessible to the beginner runner, someone who's just getting into it. And
I think the biggest, because it's funny you say the size, I thought that exact same thing, like, but not because I had preconceived notion of like what a running gel or something should look like. More so, I kept thinking, oh, if I had a jersey pocket, this would make sense. But, let's say like I run in like a Bandit sports bra because it has all the pockets, but those pockets won't hold the big gel. Right. So then I'm thinking like, where do I put this?
Right.
Like physically, where do I put this? I'd have to carry it, I guess. Because as cyclists, we take for granted that we have like so many big pockets.
Exactly.
So that could also be, I don't know, something.
Yeah, it could be what they're thinking about.
Yeah, something to think about, because that definitely crossed my mind too. I was like, I guess I could hold this and like put it in this pocket, or.
Yeah.
But it's you're a little more limited on space when you're running.
Yeah, but the 25 gram gel has been quite popular with runners, more so than the larger ones. And not to say that the large ones aren't quite popular, they are still, especially the salted one. We've seen a lot of people really like those across running and cycling. But yeah, thinking of products that we can do to appeal to that crowd, and just potentially expand on the current 25 gram gel line, or just thinking about as being a runner.
Yeah.
Because I think why it worked well with our current lineup is because Gabe and I we're cyclists, so it's like we knew the problem, we understood it. But since we don't run and we're not runners, it makes it a little bit more challenging to understand, okay, like how does a runner feel in this situation? So having that knowledge is definitely important.
I think trail runners think more like cyclists than road
100%.
runners, because I've done just a small amount of trail running and I really enjoy it. But the people I've met are much more educated on fuel. And I think that could, like, getting into the UMTB, like that space, which I'm sure you're already thinking about, would be huge. And also, again, you have a lot more pockets because everyone's wearing some sort of like vest. So you can just put everything. But I have noticed that with trail runners, they're a little more educated on fueling.
Huh.
So
I know that.
yeah.
What is the target for running carb intake?
So there are still, like, especially at the tippy end of the sport, like the pros, they're fueling 90 to 120 grams.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So per hour. So they're still doing quite the amount. And it really comes down. So running is one of those interesting things where when you're trying to measure energy output or energy expenditure, it's really variable amongst people. Less so, even more so than cycling, because cycling, we're in a fixed position. The biomechanics are going to be relatively similar.
Yep.
So you've heard the whole, like, how efficient are you on the bike? It's roughly like 20 to 25%, closer to between that as you get more and more trained.
Yep.
But so the efficiency between individuals is very similar on the bike. So it's really easy to know the amount of power output and calories burned, and we also have power meters now as well to measure that. But running, because there's such a huge influence of biomechanics, so how efficiently someone runs, that can really dramatically affect energy expenditure.
So that's so crazy to me to think that the guys at the top, like Kachobi and those guys, are taking in that many carbs, because I don't ever see them doing it.
Well,
I see
people
them
are giving them the carbs throughout the race.
I guess I've just seen them hitting the water or whatever. I just don't see them hitting gels, but maybe they just don't show it that often.
There was actually a study that just came out last week in like elite level marathon. So they took elite level marathoners and they gave them, I think 90, it was like 60, 90, 120, or they did definitely test 90 and 120 grams per hour. And they found that those elite runners that were taking 120 grams per hour, they had better performances essentially and lower perceived exertion. So, but the common thing I always hear too is that, oh, it's the elites. Like that's for the elites, not for us. And I would agree, within context. Like, do you need to take 120 if you're not running a certain pace? Maybe not. But again, it's like you have to really look at it contextually. Does that mean you don't need a fuel at all, or just like one gel is enough? Probably not. You probably should fuel more. But that's where you need to try it in your training and really be intentional and diligent about it. I think it can just make the overall experience way better. Yeah, because I think, especially for someone new, and I hear this with like new cyclists and new runners, they're always saying, oh, but that's just for the pros. I don't need a fuel. I'm running so slow. There's no way I'm going to burn through all my carbs. But if anything, you're more reliant on carbohydrates the more untrained you are. So there's really tons of data to support this. I think some of the early ones. One of them was done by Andy Coggan. You guys know? Yeah, so he's really big in the cycling field. But he did a study showing, how does your metabolism change or your fuel choice change? So inside your body, how does that change as you become more and more trained? Early on, if you're to ride at the same intensity, like just for this purpose of this conversation, it's like 150 watts, you'll be using, and I'm just speaking hypothetically here, I don't remember the numbers of the article, but you'll be using 70% carbs, 30% fat in like your quote unquote untrained state. Now, as you become more trained, you'll actually begin to use more fats. So that ratio will change. So let's just say 55% carbs, 45% fat after you become trained. But that's just the relative ratios. Now it's like, as you also become trained, you can also ride further. You can burn more total energy. So even though the ratio decreases in the amount of carbs you're using, the total amount of carbs you're using is still quite high. So I think that's where it's important to know like the nuance and the context of the data, because I've seen people take that data and be like, oh wait, I'm becoming more trained. That means you're saying I should use less carbs, right? I'm like, no. But you're also like now stronger, so you're pushing more watts. So your overall carb usage is actually up. So that's where, yeah, knowing the context of the data and how it's presented, I think is really important. And I see that all the time now on Instagram, even on podcasts, people saying these lines, and then I'm like, but you didn't add the context of the study.
Yeah.
Right.
The nuances. Exactly. So you see it all the time, and it makes me really angry when I see that. I'm just like, no.
It's funny because all the cyclists I know think that everything pros do, they should be doing.
Yeah.
From training to equipment to crank. Do you have a normal size cranks, or are you 165?
No. So I like to self-proclaim that I got into the short crank era even before Tade was so
wow.
I was dealing with a lot of knee pain through like undergrad, but I was like, it's fine. Like I would just ride through it eventually. And then so I was running 170s back then. So this was like 2017. And then eventually as I got older, the knee pain would just persist longer and longer through the season. So I tried everything and eventually went to a fitter, and they're like, have you tried like just a little bit shorter cranks? And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. So I tried 165s, and that made it a little bit better. So I rode that for a couple seasons. And then I think it was just me just wanting to experiment, just the scientist in me. And I tried to go shorter. So then I went to 160s.
Wow.
And then 155.
Wow.
And then 150. 150 was too short, so I'm now at 155. So I ride 150. I've been riding 155s for probably the last 5 years.
Holy cow. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before.
Well, no, you know what's funny is Connie, because she was having the knee pain as well. Yeah. Also, she went through all this stuff, like getting injections in her knees, like, it's this, like probably spent so much money on doctors, bills and everything. And then someone was like, maybe you should just try shorter cranks. And all her knee pain, it got a lot better. Like it, for the most part, went away.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How wide are your bars?
38s.
Okay.
I tried. I think the nearest I got was like 36, but then it just wasn't right. 38s was right. 38s with bent-in hoods.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
All right. What does the future look like? Like, what are you guys thinking for carbs? Like, we get into more products we can talk about, or I know we've talked about expanding into the running market. Kind of, what are you guys thinking for the vision for the future here?
Yeah, so vision for the future is always just spreading the brand just beyond cycling and running. I think there's a lot of new arenas to explore. High Rocks, I think, is another good place to explore and see how that community perceives fueling and what they're using right now, because they're very high output, very, very high output. I just don't know enough, but I'm kind of seeing people talk about that more, and then you're seeing a lot of sponsorship, more money flowing that direction as well. So I think there is an opportunity, but I think just brand recognition beyond the traditional cycling community. So yeah, definitely more into running, more into trail running, internationally as well. I mean, obviously we still have to focus in our backyard. There's still a lot of work to be done here. There's still plenty of people who haven't heard of carbs yet. So still a ton of work to be done here. But in terms of product, for us, this I always tell everyone it has to really hinge on three things. Any product that we come out has to be simple, effective, and affordable. It has to achieve one, if not all of those things when we launch it. I think a lot of people have asked this from us, and it's flavors. So inevitably we'll do flavors. So I've actually been testing out all sorts of different flavors and different types of gels. So they're in the works. So I was actually this morning I was trying out a bunch of different ones that we're thinking of coming out with.
You got a flavor you can tell us about?
When it comes out, you'll be one of the first to know. I'll say that.
I'm trying to get a scoop.
But it will be a very delicious flavor. We want to do flavors that are, that people are familiar with, but may not think that they go necessarily together. So when we do a flavor, it has to be something a little different. Obviously, we will still have, I think, the traditional flavors because people will like those. So people who already like the original gel, it's going to be a nice natural transition to a very familiar flavor, but we will be also exploring more non-traditional flavors.
What if you did a cocktail line, like a margarita, Negroni?
No,
Yeah.
not a margarita.
Cosmopolitan, like just do a cocktail flavor.
I think espresso martini is like the only thing that could work because it's like the chocolatey kind of espresso flavor, maybe.
Then we can have a flight of gels for people to try.
Exactly.
Exactly.
at
I'm
different
thinking
events.
seasonal. Like in the summer, it's tropical. In the winter, it's like more chocolatey.
Yeah.
It's more warm. It's maybe some dash of cinnamon. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do like seasonal drops. There you go. Just like clothing drops.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that, but I'll just say that.
Oh, okay, cool. Maybe we're on
So,
the same page.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're thinking strategically about it because, after all, we are still a relatively small company. So we have to be really intentional with where we put our money. We can't just haphazardly, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's just throw a bunch of money at that and hopefully it works. So, yeah, we're still very, very thoughtful when we launch a product. Is it going to make a difference? Is it just simply filling out the line? Because the last thing we want to do is just kind of fill out a line just to have it. Because then I feel like the products aren't really well thought out sometimes. They're just like, oh, yeah, we need like a bar, for example. Let's just go make a bar and then not really think about what problem is it solving. So it really has to solve a problem as well. So
Yeah, we get it. We get it.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
it was we met by happenstance there, and I told Nikki that you guys have a great entrepreneurial story, and it was really cool. So I'm glad you agreed to come on and share it with us.
Yeah,
So-
we really appreciate it. This is great.
yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always fun to share the story and the background and the love for it and just the passion. Because in the end, we're still cyclists. We love the sport, but this is one way that we can really help benefit, I think, a lot of people and have a meaningful impact on people's experiences. Because the sport's already pretty hard. Let's make it a little bit easier somehow. So.